Hello, welcome to Plotline Hotline.
Hello.
Where we review media so you don't have to.
Correct.
I'm Cole.
I'm Christian.
And today we are going over Code 8.
Both parts. Part 1 and 2.
Are we doing this in one go?
I thought we were.
Oh, well, we can.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll do part 1. We'll see how far we get. Yeah, Netflix, recent, this part 2 anyway, had come out
Part 2 recently came out. Part 1 came out about 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Basically, the premise is there is 4% of the world that have been granted super abilities, but they have been pushed out and become much more of a, what would you call it? Like a...
Outcasts?
Outcasts of society, I think would be a good way to do it. People don't like them because of their abilities, they're scared of them.
Yeah, they used to use them for work and stuff like that as well, and then automation came along.
And then they tried to force them out, essentially. So now a lot of them are forced to be a part of crimes in order to get by in this world.
Yeah.
And we focus on Connor,
Yes.
who is an electric-type, super-powered person who
Power-enabled.
Yes.
Is the word they use.
Power-enabled person who has a mom that's sick and needs money in order to deal with her issues that are starting to become more and more uncontrollable.
Yeah.
So you
Pretty
want,
much.
You want to start it?
No.
Fine, fuck you.
Because I started like the last 4 of them, so it's gonna be your turn.
Well, technically they've only seen 2 of them.
Well, now I already know.
Alright, so I think it's an interesting approach to the super-powered concepts. And it gives it a little bit of a fresh feel.
Do you want?
Yeah, I want this closer. I can't read it from
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It takes its time to establish the world to the audience in the first part. And the main character, Connor, played by Robbie Amell, along with the issues and his powers. I think sometimes the dialogue, with its excessive swearing, almost felt amateurish at times.
Yeah,
Like,
I would
they
agree.
realized that they didn't have to bow down to like having a limit on it. They're like, oh, we're swearing all the time.
Yeah.
And in a lot of the cases it does work, but then there's someone like, why?
It
This feels like it's a lot, and it's taking away from actually having that chance to swear all the time.
Yeah.
Overusage of the steady cam gets distracting. Of the unsteady cam, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, I was just like, why? This is not a big intense moment,
But it had to be.
It has to, but for whatever reason, I don't even know creatively why they would do it for that in certain scenes. During the action scenes, sure, I could see it, but for the ones when there's just basic dialogue stuff happening, this is unnecessary.
Why? It's just dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was a quick conversation, maybe, but yeah, no.
Yeah. Sometimes some of the scenes actually did make me uncomfortable, which is a testament to how well those scenes were actually done.
Okay.
Both acting-wise and I think the environment and the setting they have for it. Sometimes with the club and some of that stuff, you're like, oh, this is kind of, I don't like where this is going type thing. Then we have the montage with Connor and Garrett as Connor develops his powers and learns to be a part of this gang.
Yes, correct.
And I think it's well done, and it does show us each phase of his development efficiently. Connor is really the only character we get to know, though.
Yeah, Garrett even really get to know Mary, which is his mom.
Yeah, Garrett and his mom get a bit of development, but
that's it.
All the others don't have much going on. Really,
even Detective Park, was that his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't really. You got a little bit near the end.
Yeah, but it feels a little late, honestly. That I don't know.
I don't care.
For a while, I was like, why am I supposed to care about these guys specifically?
Yeah.
And then they show us, I'm like, this could have been very useful to know about his daughter and her powers
earlier on.
Much earlier on.
Yes.
And then I also noted that as well, but why don't more of them use masks to cover their faces during the climax heist? You know, when they
when they stop the truck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's true.
You're in the middle of a street.
It was only the extras that had their faces covered, but the rest of them, they were just free balling it.
Yeah, I'm like, why?
Especially with the technology, it proves that it can scan your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And then I think it could have used more info on the different kinds of powers and their levels and what that entails. What's the cutoff? What's
Yeah, because he's like, what, a class 5 is what they say?
Yeah, they say Connor's a class 5, and earlier on they say they needed a minimum of class 2.
Yes.
But I'm like, okay, we get that the higher the class, the more powerful they are, but where's the class cap? For one, does it go up to 10? If it's just 10 and Connor's just a 5, then he's probably low on that scale, even though they obviously don't have a lot of people in the higher ranges, of course.
No.
And also the population is only 4%.
Correct, it's not a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's 4%.
I think it does say that, yes.
Yeah. And those are my main notes on the first one. I don't have a lot for Code 8 Part 1.
Yeah, the first one, I did, like, again, I pretty much just put that, like, the list of movies that we've already done. The backstory was quick. It would just told us what was happening, away we go. Nice and awesome. Yeah, I think you covered most everything. Besides that, I really did enjoy that the robots were actually people. They weren't like CGI'd, like you could tell they switched back and forth, but they were actually people in costumes. The Guardians, I think they were called. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. The plot was kind of
basic.
It was basic.
Oh, good guys having a bad string of luck. He needs to turn to crime in order to fix it.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was just such a simplistic plot.
Oh yeah, I think the only
it's like a movie I've seen before, but a different take with slightly different characters.
I think honestly, that's the only reason it kind of works is because of the superpower twist with throwing that little bit of world building in there.
It's like that underdog story, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Take over the government.
I actually do like that he did go to prison.
Yes.
Honestly, I think it made his character feel a little bit more like in tune with what he wants to do, and he doesn't actually want to be a bad person. When a lot of time I find like they either get away with it or
scot-free.
Yeah, somehow they strike a deal and don't have to go to prison or something.
No, but he still went.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, it was sad that his mom died, though.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty sad.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Like I said, I don't know.
There's some good moments in there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't write a whole lot with this one just because it was predictable for me throughout the whole thing. I kind of knew where they were going, but I did like their takes on it. They had some good moments. There were some where it was just, okay, it's very tropey.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like we didn't get to know a lot about Park, which is unfortunate that you learn so late, and it didn't mean anything at that point. So, yeah. I don't really have much else for the first one, to be honest with you.
No. Are we doing our ratings for the first one right now?
We should. 6.
I was going about 6.
Yeah, I thought 6. It wasn't terrible. I liked the things that they did. I liked the way they filmed it. There's, like, besides the Steadicam part could have been, but I liked the approach to, like, where it could be practical, it was practical.
Yeah.
The CGI wasn't terrible. It didn't seem janky.
I do think they were very creative with how to not rely too much on the superpowers or CGI.
Correct.
They did different things with the camera angles and stuff like that. And it was only like quick bursts of powers and stuff, so it wasn't almost too much. So you would notice that the CGI
these electric.
Yeah. That part I can.
Yeah,
I do prompt them on that one.
But I don't think I would. Again, it wouldn't be a movie I'd go back to. I'm glad I watched it. It was good, but it wasn't fantastic.
It was
didn't
interesting
blow me out of the water.
I'm not disappointed I watched it, but it's not something, like you said, to be racing back to at any point.
No.
Alright. And now we move on to Code 8 Part 2.
We might as well. Yes.
You having some tech issues?
All the tech issues. Okay, Part 2 you want to do is correct?
Are you trying to rhyme that, or...?
Yes.
Lovely.
Part 2. I like the story better.
Yep.
I like the approach a little bit better. You kind of got that, the bad guy gone good at the end and seeing, your morals don't line up with mine. And I don't know, it was a good take overall.
You mean with Garrett going good at the...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it was good. Overall, really enjoyed it. I wrote even less about this one.
I did too.
Unfortunately. it was filmed the same way. The characters were still consistent across the board.
Yep.
Even being 5 years later, I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah, and then watching him get out of jail and doing, getting
just
out
wanting
there.
a simple life again.
Yeah, just sweeping the floors, doing his thing. Overall, I enjoyed this movie more.
I did too.
Because the plotline was more interesting to be a part of.
They had a more interesting plot. It was less predictable because they, I guess, more went into the world that they built rather than the tropes that they had initially surrounded the first movie with.
Correct, yes.
And I think they built off the first one well, too.
Yeah, I think I appreciated the first one more after watching the second one.
Yeah.
Because of how much the first one set up for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I appreciated what they did in the first one. Still wouldn't be one of my favorites, but it was still consistent with the way they filmed it, how they did the robots and everything. Yeah, it's just good. I don't really have much to complain about that movie. I didn't notice anything too I think because the plot wasn't so complex. Again, it was very kind of straight to the point. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice many plot holes. Maybe you did, but I didn't notice too many craziness with it. So that's kind of my take on it.
Like we said, it builds off the last one well with Garrett in control of the psych trade, Connor just wanting nothing to do with him at all.
At all. 0%.
And the change of how the police are dealing with the public perception and working around it behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to know more about why all of a sudden Connor is on psych as well. Like, at the beginning of the movie, you see, like, the psych pills that he has in his little apartment stuff.
Oh, yeah.
After having so many issues with the stuff in the last part, I don't know why he would turn to it. It feels like they kind of just breezed over that part.
Yeah.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he was on psych in the first movie.
No. Because the girl offered it to him, and then he's like, no, why would you do that stuff?
Yeah, and they don't show why he's out there. Sure, he's probably at a low after everything, but it doesn't give us that piece of info.
At all.
No, and then I love the improved look to Connor's electric powers in the second one.
Yes, they did a good job with that.
It makes it look more substantial and powerful compared to how we saw it in the first one, and it's more visually stimulating this way. And honestly, when he first used the charged up one with the cops, I was like, "Oh, this is actually really cool."
Yeah, they did a good job with that one.
Camera work and dialogue were improved in this one too.
Yes,
there was much less of the unsteady camera version, and the dialogue felt more
genuine. It
felt more professional.
Yes,
like they still swore a fair bit, but it felt more realistic swearing.
It felt like you were a part of the world in this one, where the first one, because of the dialogue and the conversation, it took you out. There was a couple moments in the first one I do remember. I was like, no.
And then the villain as well in this one, Officer Kingston, has a little bit more going for him than just the drug dealer in the first
Correct.
In the first movie. He has more time to shine. His partnership turned rivalry with Garrick is intriguing to watch.
Yes.
Especially when you see that he also has the same type of power as Garrett. And honestly, I would have liked them to have built off that more. Mm-hmm. That would have been really cool to see, actually. That little rivalry with their power sets and stuff.
That would have been cool.
Stuff, because you have a little bit of that with the knife.
A little bit.
And I like how Garrett's, like you assume they're around the same power. Even though Garrett's injured, he's still winning because Kings has taken so much time to hide his powers, and Garrett's, just forcing him back.
It's so good.
I was like, I really like that moment.
Yeah, they had better character connections in this one. Yeah.
And they both also want to take control of the territory, and their initial agreement going sideways is kind of really cool. And then I think it comes full circle really well at the end as well. Like you said, Garrett taking his time in prison as well.
True.
And then Connor actually getting to set up a little bit something nicer for the community with the community center.
Yeah.
Center for the kids and stuff like that. That was nice.
Yeah, it was a good way to kind of cap it off. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't write much just because I think I just watched it. I took it for what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first one had set me off a little bit.
I appreciate the first one, like you said.
I do.
More after watching the second one.
Correct.
I think if they do a third one and take this approach again, I think they'll have something really nice.
I agree. Honestly, I was even thinking that. I was like, I wonder if they did one more part just to, finish it off. Mm-hmm. Because they've got such good characters and story but I'd be worried what they would do for us.
And we actually learned at least much more about Garrett this time around as well.
100%, not just some drug dealer he met that's gangbanging for people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. What's your rating on this one?
I give it a whopping, wait for it. You're a fucking menace. I give it a 7.
7.
I give it a 7. They like took what worked from the first one, they fixed things up, and honestly, it works.
Yeah, I think I sit in the same boat. Same thing. 7. 7. It was good. Better than the first one. You could tell that they had got the funding to do what they wanted to do this time. Mm-hmm. So, it was good.
Yeah.
It's overall decent movies. And they're Canadian made. You told me that.
I believe so, yeah, because both Stephen Amell and Robbie Amell are Canadian.
Yes. Yeah.
And this was, I think, one of their big projects.
Nice.
Correct us if we're wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Like 90% correct, I think. Maybe. I might be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Our ratings for Code 8 Part 1 and 2.
Part 1 and 2. There wasn't really anything leading to maybe a Part 3, but if they do, we'll definitely come back and do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I know this is kind of a little bit of a shorter one, but it was a good one. It's something that just recently came out, so thought we would cover it and see what we thought. Let us know what your opinions are. That's going to conclude this episode of Plotline Hotline. You can follow us on social media, wherever that is. Comment, like, subscribe.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
If you didn't agree with us, thanks for sticking around as long as you did.
Yeah.
Have a lovely day.
We'll catch you next time.